How would you feel if you found out your partner might only be intimate with you out of obligation? Imagine coming home after a long month away, eager to reconnect, only to be hit with a truth that shakes you to your core. This is my story of vulnerability, fear, and a revelation that could change my marriage forever. I had just gotten back home after nearly a month abroad on a business trip. It had been exhausting, delays, sleepless nights, endless hours at the airport. But despite all that, the one thing that kept me going was the thought of being back with my wife. I missed her so much. I missed us. When I finally walked through the door, I was beyond tired, but I still wanted to be close to her. We started to get intimate, and for a moment, everything felt right. But then, something went wrong. I couldn't get it up. I'd be hard for a few seconds, and then it was gone, like my body was betraying me. After a few frustrating minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. Embarrassment, anger, shame, they all hit me at once. I left the bedroom and headed to my office downstairs, needing space to deal with the emotions flooding over me. A few minutes later, she followed me down to the office. She could tell I was upset, and in her usual caring way, she tried to comfort me. "It's fine," she said, "it happens to all men." She was understanding, patient. But then, she said something that I didn't expect at all. She told me that she doesn't care if we never have sex again. She said it wouldn't change how much she loves me or how she feels about our relationship. I was stunned. I asked her why she'd say something like that. Did she not enjoy being with me anymore? That's when she admitted that while she does enjoy sex with me, her physical need for it has almost disappeared. She told me that she's not young anymore and doesn't feel that same desire she once did. I didn't know what to say. I always thought she loved and wanted sex as much as I did. Now, it feels like she's just doing it for me. And that thought, it's tearing me apart. I don't want to use her as some kind of sex toy just to satisfy my own needs. But what does this mean for us? For our marriage? The embarrassment of not being able to perform, combined with the fear that she's only going through the motions for my sake, has left me feeling lost. It's all I can think about. I can't sleep. I can't stop overthinking. What does this mean for our future together? So now, I'm turning to you. What would you do if you were in my shoes? How would you handle this situation? Please, share your thoughts and judgments in the comments below. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you think. Welcome to our second story. What would you do if you caught your partner cheating? Could you ever trust them again? Imagine discovering your spouse's betrayal, confronting them, and then trying to pick up the pieces of your shattered marriage. This is my story, a painful journey of mistrust, heartbreak, and the impossible question, is there hope for us? Hi everyone. I'm really struggling with something right now, and I need your advice. My husband and I have been married for 6 years, together for 9, and we have 2 beautiful kids under the age of 5. Like many couples, things started to change after we had children. We grew somewhat emotionally distant, no more date nights, our shared hobbies fell by the wayside, and we got caught up in the daily grind of parenting and work. But despite all of that, I always believed we had a strong marriage. We were happy, or so I thought. We always had a great sex life, and I took comfort in knowing that even if we weren't as emotionally close as we used to be, we still had that connection. Then, 5 months ago, everything started to shift. My husband got a new employee, an intern working under him on a 6-month project. She's 12 years younger than him, single, and, well, you can probably guess where this is going. At first, I didn't think much of it. He's always been a bit of a flirt, but I've never had any reason to worry. But then, as the months went by, I noticed things that made me uncomfortable. They seemed to be getting closer. He talked about her more often, mentioning her in casual conversation, and I started to get that gnawing feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. One day, I decided to trust my instincts and check his phone. I know, snooping isn't healthy, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And that's when I found them, texts between my husband and this intern. They weren't explicit, but they were definitely inappropriate. He was sending her funny sexual stickers, complimenting her on her body in a joking way, and talking about their weekends, their hobbies, things that felt way too personal. I confronted him immediately, and of course, we had a huge fight. He tried to convince me that it was all just friendly banter, that I didn't understand their culture. For some context, my husband and the intern are from the same nationality, one that is much more sexually open than the American culture I grew up in. He argued that this kind of joking was normal for them, that I was overreacting. And honestly, after a week of arguing, he managed to convince me. I wanted to believe him, so I told myself that I was just being paranoid, that I needed to trust him. We moved past it, or at least I tried to. We even had a great month of vacation together shortly after. We reconnected emotionally, spent time focusing on our relationship, and for a while, everything felt perfect again. Our intimacy was better than ever, and I started to believe that maybe I had overreacted. Maybe everything really was fine. But then, last month, things took a turn for the worse. The intern relocated to our city for the final 3 months of the project. She rented an apartment just a few miles from our house, and my husband started commuting with her to work every day. He would pick her up and drop her off with our car, and they'd spend 1 to 2 hours together in the car, every day. At first, I tried to brush it off. But as time went on, my suspicions grew stronger. They were spending so much time together, at the office, commuting, even going to work events like dinners and baseball games. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was happening behind my back. I felt like I was losing my mind, constantly second-guessing myself, wondering if I was just being paranoid. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. And then, one night after a work baseball game, I saw them walking down our street, holding hands. My heart dropped. I felt sick. The next day, I asked a friend to follow them and film what happened when he dropped her off after work. And there it was, the proof I had been dreading. They were kissing. My worst fears were confirmed. In a fit of rage, I hired a divorce lawyer right away. I was done. I couldn't believe this was happening. But before I could serve him with the papers, I confronted him. We talked for hours that night, going over every painful detail. He admitted to kissing her, holding her hand, but swore it was nothing more than that. He said it had only lasted a few days, that he deeply regretted it. He told me he wasn't even attracted to her, he was just feeling empty and alone in our marriage, and in a moment of weakness, he made a terrible mistake. That night, as we talked, something unexpected happened. We opened up to each other in a way we never had before. We talked about our feelings, our fears, our regrets. And in a strange, twisted way, I felt closer to him than I ever had. But that closeness was mixed with pain, anger, and confusion. How could he betray me like this? How could I ever trust him again? After taking a week apart, he came back to me, begging for a second chance. He promised to change, to be the husband and father we both knew he could be. And I'll be honest, he's been amazing since then. He's been sweet, loving, present with me and the kids. He's cut all unnecessary contact with the intern, no more commuting together, no more work trips, no more dinners or outings. He's made every effort to show me that he's committed to making our marriage work. We even have an open phone policy now, where I can check his messages and calls anytime I want. But even with all that, I can't shake the doubt. I can't stop the images and memories of them together from playing over and over in my head. I keep finding new lies, new betrayals, like how he lent her my favorite book and then lied about it, saying the kids must have hidden it somewhere. Or the time I found 2 movie tickets in his email for an R-rated, romantic foreign language film, bought on the night I was away with the kids. When I asked him who he was planning to go with, he came up with 3 different lies before finally turning in on me and storming out. I want to forgive him, to move on and rebuild our marriage. But how can I, when the trust is shattered? How can I ever believe him again, when every word he says feels like a potential lie? I know I'm probably sabotaging any chance of reconciliation by digging up the past, but I can't help it. The pain, the betrayal, it's too much to bear. So now, I'm asking you, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Is there any hope that these feelings of deep distrust will ever go away? Can a marriage survive after such a betrayal? Please, share your thoughts and judgments in the comments below. I really need your advice.